Welcome to Faith Channel, nurturing, learning, and hearing.
Welcome to your faith journeys, where we dove into stories of faith, resilience, and triumph in the midst of uncertainty. Today, we're honored to have author Dr. Morris Red join us to discuss uncertainty and doubt in everyday life, as well as the inspiration behind his books. Welcome, Dr. Red. Thank you for being here.
Oh, it's a pleasure, Curtis. Thank you for having me. Um, Hopefully, I can be of some value to your audience, and let's just chat it up. I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder. Well, actually, two of them. Lupus is one of them, which a lot of people have heard of lupus, and then the other one is called pemphigus. And during that journey, um, I was hospitalized several times, and one of the times I was in there for 2 months straight. I was in ICU, and uh, I really needed to change my mindset. I was feeling very uncertain because I could no longer work in the capacity that I was used to. Um, Unfortunately, at the time, my marriage was going downhill rapidly. So being in the hospital and not being able to provide for the family definitely didn't help that whole situation. And then my father passed away while I was in the hospital. With that triumvirate experience, um, it was to either go crazy or do something about it. And
Mhm.
so, on the cusp of going crazy, I decided that I was going to do something different. And so, right there in the hospital, I started looking at everything from a different perspective, a new set of eyes, because the uncertainty was unsettling. Not knowing what was going to happen once I got out of the hospital, not knowing um, how my relationship was going to pan out. That's when you go deeper into that rabbit hole, because it's like, okay, I'm on drugs. I lost my job. All right. What does that mean? All right. I'm about to lose my car. So then you start worrying. But if you make a decision, and that's the beauty about our minds, we make a decision to go the opposite way, go up instead of down.
Absolutely. I'll digress for a minute and share part of my story. 6 years ago, I had a stroke, and I was in the hospital in the rehab center. First, they put me in the hospital, then they sent me to a rehab center. Once they stabilized me, I couldn't walk and I couldn't talk during that period of time. And the whole time I was thinking, and you said it earlier, because I'm just like flabbergasted on you, what you're saying, because I was in the hospital and I was saying the whole time, I want to get back to normal. But with God, I'm praying, and what God revealed to me is, Curtis, I have a new normal for you,
Mm-hmm.
but you just have to accept that new normal. When I was in the hospital, they told me if I get up one more time by myself, they're going to put a camera on me and put me closer to the door so they can see what I'm doing.
Wow.
And
Okay.
that was a sign that God was saying, okay, you better listen to these people because they trying to help you
Right.
and prevent you from falling, which everybody knows about. But yet and still, I'm the whole time I'm saying to myself, I know how to go to the bathroom. I know how to go to the bathroom.
Right.
I'm
Right.
trying to return back to my original state, which God was saying, no, you have a new state.
You're
And
not
so
there.
once I
Right.
accepted that reality of that uncertainty and that the doubt of where I was going to end up,
Mm-hmm.
and things just turned around like it was a miracle. I
Right.
was able to walk progressively, and I was able to return and talk too, just as well. So, you know, our God is definitely a living God, and
Yes,
He's
yes.
intervening in our life. And when it comes to that uncertainty and doubt, He shows up big time. You just got to go to Him and
Yeah.
be sincere about it.
You got to be open. That's right. That's right.
So, so Doc, can you share a little about the inspirations behind your books and where the motivation to share that information came from?
Absolutely. But before I go there, you just
Hmm.
brought up a good point. So you said you had to accept, like that. I
Yeah.
think that's the biggest thing, right? Well, first, even before accepting, you got to recognize where it's coming from, right?
Mhm.
So you had the wherewithal to know that this is God telling you, all right, you need to chill, because if you don't, I can't help you.
Right.
You may have heard the story where there's a guy, um, uh, he he's in the ocean, right? And
Mhm.
he's praying to God that he will save him. And so this ship comes by, and he says, "No, I'm waiting for God." Then this helicopter flies over, throws a buoy down. He says, "No, I'm waiting for God." You know, everybody's trying to help him. A little sailboat goes by and tries to pull him out, and he says, "No, I'm waiting for God." And then turning around, he ends up in heaven. He's like, "God, I pray. You said if I ask, I will receive." He said, "Why didn't you why didn't you help me get out of that situation?" He said, "I sent you a ship, I sent you a boat, I sent you a helicopter. You know, you got to recognize, right?" And so, one thing that's in my book, I have these 4 steps, and then I'll tell you what inspired me to write these books. First is recognition. So you got to identify and acknowledge what's going on in your life, and then you also have to recognize and acknowledge God. And then there's realization, like, okay, I can't, like you said, I can't do this on my own. I want to go to the bathroom. I'm a man. I could do this, but I really can't. I'm unable. I'm presently I'm unable to do that.
I
So
was
you
in
got that
denial.
realization, right? Exactly. So that's when you have that conscious alertness, right? And then there's a revelation, understanding of the value of the connection. So now you're like, okay, if I do this, then this will happen. So if I surrender and let them help me, then I'm going to heal better. I'm going to heal quicker, because this is God's will, but I'm blocking God's will. And sometimes we can do that. We get in the way of our blessings far too often. And then last thing is reconciliation. So that's what you just did. You gave glory to God because you knew it was him all along. And so when we go through those 4 steps, we can overcome any uncertainty and any doubt, because we're giving it over to him. I recommend that to everybody in your audience, to journal, to write down, whether it's in your notes in your phone or on paper, just your thoughts. At first, I was journaling the bad things. I was cursing out my ex-wife.
What else?
I was
using the habit.
Yeah, I was writing all kinds of stuff, like this letter. Like I was like, I hope nobody. In fact, this is how bad it got, Curtis. Once I wrote this, I had like, I don't know, 10, 20 pages, almost like a letter to her, right? And I had to throw it away because I was like, I wouldn't want anybody to ever read this. It was just me getting stuff off my chest.
Right.
I was like, I don't want this to ever come out.
Truth be told, you were in pain, but you was expressing it in anger.
Absolutely.
Like.
Absolutely. So I flipped that and I started writing positive things. Well, if this can help me, it can definitely help other people as well. So I started writing. And in fact, on my first book, it's called Grace for Granted. On the bottom, it says, an attitude adjuster and gratitude journal. An outpouring of love was happening at that time. And so I could do nothing else but be happy about that and write about it. So I started writing about the small things. And the subtitle of this is Finding Extraordinary Blessings in Ordinary Settings. Like when I started to heal, Curtis, and I know you can attest to this, having had a stroke, when you can't do something and then you start to regain that ability, man, it's something else. Like when you're a child and you're learning how to tie your shoe, that's one thing. When you're an adult and you've been tying your shoe for 40 years and now you're just relearning, that's a whole nother thing.
That's
right?
So true.
I helped this young lady write this book, and now I'm engaged to this young lady.
That's sweet. That's sweet.
So we're getting married.
This concludes our podcast interview on Your Faith Journeys. Stay tuned for more inspiring stories of faith and triumph. Thank you for tuning in. Please give us a thumbs up or share our amazing stories with your family and friends. And check out our free website, yourfaithjourneys.com, for more resources. And the website is free. And I did say free. So with that being said, I want to say thank you, Doc, and God bless you, and God bless everybody that's viewing our video.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, brother.
We'd like to express our gratitude to our sponsors and donors for supporting the Faith Journey podcast. Thank you for tuning in. May you be blessed and continue to smile. Until we meet again.